Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. You like that? 3, 1, 2, 3. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right. 3 episodes on a Monday here of Purple Daily. Declan just got done recording Purple Daily on draft. What was like the hottest take from Miles or Tyler?
Obviously, so we talked a lot about a lot of different things, but we talked to like Xavier Worthy, you know, the guy who had the absurd 40 time from Texas.
Broke the record.
Broke the record, run a 4.21. I would actually say the hottest take was the defensive line group that they watched. It's not that they performed poorly. It's just that no one popped off. Like no one really exceeded the expectation. No one really jumped off in terms of the results and what they did at the combine. It doesn't hurt their stock, but no one really had that freakish nature that I think some of them that were expecting to show up at the combine. I mean, especially when you look at like all the edge and D-line dudes.
So they're all busts.
Projected to go.
They're all busts.
They're all just busts. Pass on them. Take a running back at pick 11 at this rate. No. That would
Are
be
you
a very
talking about
hot
like
take.
the edge rushers too, or the defensive tackles, or both?
I would say mostly defensive tackles is what they said. The defensive tackles. No one really just popped off that they were expecting to pop off. Yeah.
Okay.
But a great episode. We also broke down the RAS scores. Like, what the hell? I pulled a Michael Scott on them, and I said, why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5? What does the RAS score mean? What is this? What is all this mean for their
athletic
prospect?
score, right?
Yeah.
Relative athletic score.
Yeah. So if you're one of those people that just doesn't know what any of these results and 3-cone shuttle and what any of this stuff means, go to Purple Daily on Draft. We kind of broke down and made it and dumbed it down for enough for people to understand what it is.
Very nice. I will say this: judging fat men at the combine through drills, I don't really like. Like those guys are meant to play on Sundays, clog up the middle, get up, push.
See, I have the exact opposite take. I because those guys are doing all that great stuff, I do want to see them go through those drills. I mean, I don't need to see Pat Williams do the 40-yard dash outside of comic relief. Like I don't need to see that. But I like to see them do the bench press and all the stuff. Yeah.
There was one of the guys. Was it Sweat, who weighed in at like 366 pounds, and they showed footage of him doing the vertical jump thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a 26-inch vertical or something, which for carrying that much weight is considered pretty good. It's fun watching fat people do athletic
I
things,
didn't say
right?
it's not fun. I said if I'm a team, because it doesn't really translate to Sundays necessarily.
A lot of those drills do translate though.
If I'm a team, don't get fooled. Don't go combine on me.
No one's getting fooled, but like
Don't
there's
go combine on me.
metrics that do matter in evaluating players.
As discussed on Purple
you
Daily.
would never measure any metrics if you were the front office, if you were the general manager.
There's certain things
only film.
I would consider. You got to consider the film, but there are guys like the big guys. To me, it's more of an actual game thing. It's more of an actual football.
I want to hear Judd debate like a front office executive about this.
Well, I think front office executives might agree because I've long told them don't get fooled by this stuff.
You've long told front office
I've long
executives.
told front office executives don't get fooled by this stuff. It's like
Judd's the old-time baseball scout in Moneyball that Brad Pitt's just like picking apart. He's trying to pick apart.
That's not true. That's not true. I actually do see value, but it depends on the positions too. It's like the best one is the 40-yard dash and wide receivers. One of the stupidest things of all time.
Well, and when you look at the top 40-yard dashes in combine history, it's littered with guys you've never heard of outside of
because you know what you don't do in football?
Running a 40-yard dash.
You don't run a straight line.
No. In fact, Larry Fitzgerald ran like a 4.65 40-yard dash. One of the greatest receivers of all time.
Because you cut a lot. Like there's a difference between straightaway.
Well, that's
speed
what the 3-cone drill is for.
and cutting speed. And cutting.
That's why they have a 3-cone drill, so you can cut and show.
I don't disagree with that.
Like you're crapping on the combine.
I love the combine, but I am saying that teams tend to put too much importance at times on the combine itself, and that becomes an issue.
Okay. Well, the sports dad has been right before, so we will take his word on this. Don't get fooled by the 3-cone drill. Boys, let's go through. So we went through Kirk Cousins' watch on a previous episode today. Definitely check that one out. Let's go through a couple interesting reports about Danielle Hunter and Justin Jefferson and then do a hard count spanning various categories and topics around the league. So Dan Graziano, ESPN insider, he writes this. The Vikings are trying to get a contract done with star wide receiver Justin Jefferson, and they've also made an effort to re-sign Danielle Hunter. Jefferson is likely to set the top of the receiver market whenever he signs, and his deal is certain to pay him more than $30 million a year. The question is, how much more? Hunter, who had 16 and a half sacks last season and 27 over the past 2 years, could be the top edge rusher on the market and would likely generate interest from multiple teams. The Vikings' attention has been focused on finding out whether they can keep Cousins, but he's not the only significant piece of the business they have to address. Every report we've seen about Hunter is like, oh yeah, the Vikings, he exists in the pantheon of NFL players, and the Vikings have enjoyed his presence, but they're worried about Kirk Cousins right now. So Danielle can buzz off.
Well, and with what it sounds like, Danielle, who's going on 30 years old, is trying to get, I think he's gone. And I think, look, the dude deserves to break the bank because he never really did here. Like that second contract, we've talked about it a lot, was a bad contract relative to his abilities, right? And then so he would balk, and they'd give him, okay, we'll change this. And then last year he does the holding, and they're like, okay, we'll change this, and we'll agree not to franchise you. And would I like to see him back? Absolutely. Now, if we get into the discussion of this, would I like to see him back at his age with the terms of the contract he wants, or would I prefer? And this also came up in what was just a glorious, juicy notebook from Graz and Fowler. God, I love that notebook. Christian Wilkins, who's going to be going into his second contract, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're going to break the bank for one of those two, I'd probably go the younger guy. It just feels like the Danielle thing is, I don't even think it's a messy divorce. I think it's an amicable divorce of, hey, you know what? You were great here. Thank you. Danielle's like, you're right. I was great. I'm going to break the bank. And the Vikings are like, okay, bye.
So
That's
here's
what
one more from Fowler, this juicy notebook from ESPN.com.
Glorious.
Jeremy Fowler. He says, not as many numbers floated around Indianapolis as usual this week, but it's safe to say teams are expecting Hunter to be in, or at least searching for, a pretty massive price range, something well north of $20 million a year, and the production might justify it. Hunter has averaged 14 sacks over his past 4 healthy seasons. He also led the league in TFLs. What do you guys think the percent chance of Danielle Hunter back in purple is? And by the way, It's a week from today that he will almost certainly agree to terms, right?
Everyone the first, I think, yes.
So what? Yeah, percent chance right now, Danielle Hunter back in purple.
I'll go 20, and I know I'm probably even be a little higher than maybe both of you guys, but I'll say 20 just because there's a little bit of unknown there, but I think, yeah, he's going to take the biggest bag that he gets, and I don't believe that will be from the Minnesota Vikings. So I'll take 20, but I'm going to assume both of you are probably much lower than me.
Yeah, I'm going to go at about, I'm going to be generous and go 10. It just feels like it's done. And look,
there's just no chatter about it.
But if he's pursuing that big a payday, I think the Vikings would go elsewhere as far as because I mean, they're going to have a bunch of needs on defense. This is going to be, and it should be largely probably Brian Flores' call, right? Like I've gone from, you can't take Danielle Hunter away from a poor guy that propped up a defense that probably had no business being as good as it should be, to, well, if Christian Wilkins, who Flores drafted with the Dolphins, is out there, then he might be like, oh no, let's give the bag to Christian Wilkins. So I've sort of reversed my thinking, and I think Flores will have a big call. I'm just not sure that Flores' first call, given what he might be able to get with the Vikings cap space, is going to be Hunter. And Phil, that price tag that Danielle is going after at his age, and you got to keep in mind, he's missed an entire season and part of a season. I don't know that price tag is palatable, unfortunately.
Yeah, so many tentacles off this. I'm going to go 5%. I'm going to go under you guys. I don't
blame you.
I guess there's been so little buzz and steam. And if you're Danielle, you have felt sort of spurned a couple different times that this franchise, you've made a fuss about it in the offseason, and this franchise has come back with a couple short-term solutions, but they've never given you the bag that you've wanted. And I don't blame the Vikings, because going back to even the Rick Spielman front office, like, well, dude, you missed like a year and a half with an injury, with 2 different injuries, neck injury.
And you signed a bad second contract.
Yeah, his
that was you and your agent.
His contract out of the rookie contract was a very team-friendly deal. So it definitely feels like it's headed in the direction of him just instantly signing with the Chicago Bears or the Jaguars or somebody the minute that the tampering window opens on Monday. And to Judd's point, so Danielle Hunter is about a full year older than Christian Wilkins. Now, Wilkins plays on the interior. Danielle is a true edge.
Yep.
So they do play different positions, but the Vikings had last year, by a mile, the worst pass rush win rate from the interior of any team in the NFL. Could you perhaps sign and by the way, there's a couple dudes out there. Well, Matabuke was franchised, wasn't he?
The expectation is
that he will be?
He will be, and there was an expectation that Wilkins would be, but in that same report, it says now executives think he won't be.
And
so he'll be free.
2 things on Wilkins. So besides him being a year younger than Danielle Hunter, he started his career under Brian Flores, played under that Brian Flores defense for 3 years, I believe, as a former first-round pick. He was 13th
Drafted
overall out of Clemson. Yep. So we know the Flores connection is strong. And number 2, he broke out as a pass rusher last year. So the first few years of his career, he was very much a space-eating, 315-pound interior guy that could get you a few sacks here and there and some pressures. But he was great against the run. That was his thing.
Right.
Last year, he took a huge step forward. He had 61 pressures last year, which was top 10 among interior defensive linemen. It was double the amount of pressures from his previous career high. Could you go and grab him for about the same price as Danielle Hunter and then go get an edge rusher in the draft, right? Could you go get, with your 11th overall pick, some of this ties into like, what are you going to do at quarterback? But Danielle Hunter's not the only guy that they could dump $20 million a year into, I guess, to help you solve some things up front.
Well, and with the amount of progress that Wilkins made as a pass rusher too, think about this. In today's game, the most immediate pressure comes now because guys can rush from there. They're good at it from that spot.
Yeah.
So like Danielle, and this is, an edge is great. I'm not trying to denigrate the edges, but an edge has to take some time to get there. If you can push the pocket, if you can A-gap that son of a buck and get right in there, Brian Flores might be like, oh yeah. And in a very Maconian way too, we're talking about the defensive line being built like, Phil, you think the offensive line should be built, which is from the interiors.
Well,
right?
let me clarify. You definitely need offensive tackles and edge rushers
but
as
guards,
the most important things.
But guards are sources. My point is those guys who are in the armpit of their lines don't get enough credit for what they do.
Yeah, I mean, Wilkins that is your biggest need. Now, edge rusher is about to be your biggest need if Danielle Hunter's gone. So, hey, they need both. And if you could only pay one, you'd probably pay the younger guy that also has experience in Flores' system. So we'll see. When's the franchise deadline? It's like the 9th, isn't it? It's before the negotiating window, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've got it.
I'm going to pause the show so we can look this up here.
Deadline to designate franchise players is 3:00 tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
I've got my calendar here.
So we'll know
this calendar.
We'll know, because you got to give these teams time and these players time to kind of figure out.
Absolutely.
What they're doing.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So there's your Danielle Hunter update. The Justin Jefferson update's the same. It's, hey, he's going to make $30+ million. The Vikings want to get it done, but it's maybe not imminent.
So how much would you guys pay if Danielle came to you and said, I'd like to stay, but I got to get a lot? What's your breaking point, do you think?
It's less about because the price is, I mean, it's going to be what it is. He's going to be one of the top 5 to 10 highest paid edge rushers. Like, to me, it's more about, do you think he is going to be as good as he is now sustainably for the next at least 2 years? And that's he's going to be 30 years old, middle of the season.
Right.
Most edge rushers peak around 27, 28, maybe 29. It's very rare that 30-year-old edge rushers maintain their level of play 31. Now, you can still play in the league and still be good, Von Miller, but he's going to be asking for elite edge rusher money. And I don't know that he is going to be playing at that level in maybe even year 1, but for sure year 2 of that contract. So it does make me nervous. I'm still clinging to just like the asset management piece of this. And you could say, well, it's a sunk cost. They made their decision at the trade deadline. But it just sits wrong with me that they had a chance to get like a first or second round pick for him mid-season, and he's going to wind up signing on Monday with the Bears or something, and the Vikings get nothing. They get a comp pick, like a third-round comp pick in 2025.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. It just kind of sits weird with me.
Yeah, if you make your decision on Kirk and you want to bring back Danielle, like make your decision as in you've moved on from Kirk Cousins and you want to bring back Danielle, I think that's a little more plausible. Maybe you can pay Danielle Hunter up front and make that big bag happen. But it's one of these 3 guys, if not 2 of these 3 guys, are probably you're going to lose Kirk or Danielle. And I know there's a possibility of bringing back all 3 and Kirk and Danielle and Justin Jefferson. You can extend all of them. That's possible. I just don't think that's going to be realistic in the Vikings' plans.
Well, the timeline here is going to be interesting because I think Judd's right. I think Danielle is just whoever offers a bag 5 minutes after the tampering window opens. I think he just takes the biggest bag because he hasn't had that before. Mm-hmm. Are the Vikings going to have enough resolution on Cousins if they chase this Cousins thing into like the Monday of tampering? Are they going to have resolution on that? Like because to Declan's point, if Cousins says, "Hey, I'm going to Atlanta," you might then say, "Okay, well then let's go back to Danielle. Like I guess we've got some more resources available for Danielle and maybe some other guys, right?" But are you going to get screwed on the timing of this? Is my question.
Or have you made your decisions and they're both going to walk?
Do you think ideally they would let both those guys walk? Do you think that is plan A for Kwesi? To literally say goodbye to your 2 most important players?
It feels like
2 of your 3 most important players.
It feels like the way it's playing out that he would generally like to keep Kirk at the right price. The Danielle thing, as you said before, it just feels like a shrug. So I don't think he has a problem with it. Like I think he is far less hung up on keeping Hunter than we thought that he would be. But keep in mind too, on the Kirk thing, the $28.5 million in dead cap goes on the cap on March 12th, next Tuesday. So that's another, to me, complete deadline, right? Mm-hmm. Like once that passes, it's over. Because you ain't gonna have a $28.5 million dead hit and then keep him. The Danielle thing does not feel to me like, unless it's a complete rope-a-dope, it does not feel like there's like been this aggressive attempt to keep him. I think they've given Kirk what they consider to be a very fair offer and won't budge off that much. But there feels like there's far more hope there than there is. There's been nothing that they've said about Hunter. You know, we know his agent. We have a good relationship. We'll talk about it.
We know that they've made an offer to Kirk multiple times over the last 12 months. And we know that they've made an offer to Justin Jefferson that almost landed before week 1 of last year.
And they've talked
right?
to Hunter.
But there's been nothing about the offer that sits out there for Hunter.
Correct.
So if they haven't even made the guy an offer, because they've had an exclusive negotiating window, nobody else can technically make an offer until March 11th. I guess I would have thought that if they really made him an offer and really wanted him back, I think you would have heard about it by now.
Yep.
So that they could maybe seal that thing up before the other teams get a chance to take a bite. But
the only person that I think I've heard Kwesi be actually passionate about is Jefferson.
Yeah, he was pounding on the table for Jefferson.
He was pissed about that. The rest of it, I think, is just business.
Yep. So, all right. Well, we'll see what happens in the next week as we lead up to the legal tampering period.
I love this month.
On Monday.
God, I love this month.
Yeah. Also this month, our friends at Finch Home Solutions.
They're back. Let's see it. Let's see the.
They're back for the 2024 Reckless
We got the
Spare
there it is.
van.
There it is. Give me the horn, boys. Thank you very much. Because Finch Home Solutions indeed has returned. Cody and his team, well, they never went anywhere. Brief hiatus, but now they are back here with us at PD Score North. Welcome back. And you know what? They are here because they want to handle, and they can, and they do a great job. First-hand experience right here. All of your electrical needs, both big and small. We're talking car chargers. We're talking panel replacement, indoor lighting, electrical repairs, and more. Cody and his team, they're fast, they're efficient, they're going to get the job done. You know what? They're going to talk some Vikes with you because they love the team as much as you do. Several specials that you can find on their website, including $199 for a whole home safety inspection. That is ordinarily a $357 value, but it's only $199. Nothing more important than protecting your family, protecting your home. Finch Home Solutions wants to make sure you do that. FinchHomeSolutions.com or 612-357-2604. 612-357-2604. FinchHomeSolutions.com. Check them out. And, of course, tell them, as always, that the guys at Purple Daily told you that they're the best in town.
Also, speaking of the best at what they do, AG1 is trusted by top athletes all over the world. AG1 is a simple and comprehensive foundational nutrition supplement for whole body health. I personally love the travel packs. I love to mix a travel pack or a scoop. You can use the scoop too as well. For me, it's mid-afternoon, kind of early afternoon. A lot of people, it's in the morning. It helps fill those nutritional gaps to fortify my body so I can focus on things that matter, like hot Vikings takes, dang it. If you are interested in taking ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. In fact, here's a travel pack right here. Oh, I just happen to have one sitting right here. A little AG1 travel pack. Yeah. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/purple daily. That's drinkag1.com/purple daily. Check it out. Gentlemen, it's time for the hard count.
Everybody hold your water. Balls, balls, balls. Balls, green 18. Green 18, set.
All right, we go quick hitting questions here around the NFL and outside the NFL. Some Vikings related, some not. Let's start with this one, Judd. You covered the NFL for a long time as a beat writer, a local beat reporter, Vikings. I'm not sure if you had any run-ins with Chris Mortensen, but he passed away over the weekend. Legendary ESPN insider going back to the early 1990s. He spent time at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in the 80s. But Chris Mortensen, I think on the initial Mount Rushmore of NFL reporters that, like Peter King, Chris Mortensen, Dr. Z back in the day, passed away at 72 over the weekend. Oh.
Judd, you're muted.
Sorry, my bad. I was coughing before. I didn't know him well, actually. You know, the one time I talked to him fairly extensively he was the guy that broke the Denny Green story. When Denny Green was, well, in retrospect, fired, but at the time he said he was taking the high road and resigning as Vikings coach late in, what was that, the 2001 season.
Yeah.
Mortenson broke that story, and I was actually doing the TV column, sports column at the time at Star Tribune, and got him on the phone to talk about the scoop, because it was a great scoop, big scoop. And he was very good. He didn't, obviously, he wouldn't reveal his sources, despite the fact I said, who are your sources? He wouldn't give me his sources, but he did, give me the background of the scoop and stuff. And yeah, he was one of the first guys to make that move from beat guy, hardened newspaper guy,
man,
to
yeah.
TV guy. He would be on that Mount Rushmore would be Mortensen, Peter Gammons in baseball.
Yeah.
Who made that move as well. But yeah, Mort was, by all accounts, a good guy, and sad news. But I mean, you know what? He also started to battle cancer in like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was grave concern then. So, and he stayed on the air with Schefter until I think this past season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he
so
just retired. Yeah, he retired earlier in the year. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe right before the season.
But I mean, he was in rough shape and came back and still worked and, broke stories and stuff. So sad news, but yes, a definite legend in the realm of NFL reporting.
I mean, he kind of walked so the Schefters and the Shams and the Wojs could run, right? I mean, he was the kind of one of the first real news breakers. That's what Greeny was talking about today too, of what he was able to do with him and Chris Berman, and just kind of also helping ESPN take NFL coverage to the next level. I mean, I'm spoiled. I remember SportsCenter at its peak, but people who are Judd's age, like what you had, what was the NFL show on Sunday? There was what was NFL coverage like pre-ESPN?
Oh, we had half-hour pregame shows on CBS and NBC with Musburger on CBS. Actually, the first news guy that I remember who came on and broke stories was Will McDonough, Sean's dad, from the Boston Globe. NBC brought him in for their pregame show as an information man. But I mean, these guys were all great because they were the first guys to get on who were credible and empty their notebooks, and really, really led the path to what we now know as reckless speculation.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could say that. Yeah, Chris Mortensen, one of the forefathers of reckless speculation.
Now they would be like, "Whoa, young man,
reckless.
It wasn't reckless." But I would say, did it all really happen?
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it.
I was watching the same thing that they did a big tribute that Dex was talking about on ESPN this morning, and Mike Tannenbaum came in and said, "Yeah, I had a relationship from sort of the other side because I was the general manager of two different franchises." And he said, it always felt to me that Mort had knowledge of way more than he reported. And that's true, I think, with all of these guys, that like Mort would in order to build relationships, you had to build trust. And if you're just blabbing everything that you hear on ESPN, like there's a certain level of tact that you need if somebody spills their guts about something, that you don't then, off the record, right? Then you don't then turn around and go on ESPN and hang somebody out to dry. So he was a master of, okay, you give me, 20 different things. Let me go with 2 of them, and then I'll keep the other 18 just between us for now and maintain the relationship. Like just kind of pulling back the curtain on how he went about his job. And most of the tributes that you've seen have been about him reaching out behind the scenes. Our former colleague, Tom Pelissero, pretty publicly, his wife had cancer a number of years ago, and Mortensen sent him a direct message on Twitter, I think it was, just saying, like, I don't think they really knew each other, but Mortensen was saying, hey, I'm here if you need me. Here's my contact information.
Awesome.
Just one of those types of guys. So
Chris
Mortensen, a legend, passed away at the age of 72.
Green 18! Green 18!
Okay, here's one. A couple different things here. The Athletic late last week had the Vikings listed as the most intriguing option for rejuvenating Zach Wilson's career.
Yeah.
And then Spotrac put out a poll saying, my team needs a quarterback to compete for a starting spot in 2024. I am most interested in acquiring, and then he listed 4 options. Zach Wilson, and all these guys make $5 million or less, so they're all super cheap, right? Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Sam Howell. Now, the poll results have Sam Howell running away with this at 63%, which is funny because he had one of the highest sack rates in the history of the NFL. Like, he's not a good quarterback, at least not yet. Trey Lance, 23%, because we haven't seen him. So people are like, I guess I'll take the guy that we don't know anything about. Mac Jones, 11%. Zach Wilson, 3%. Gun to the head, all right? This is a crazy hostage situation where I'm telling you guys, you must choose one of these 4 quarterbacks for the next 2 years to win as many games as possible.
God. Why is that?
What did you think I was going to ask?
I thought you were going to ask which guy would I like as the backup quarterback. I thought I was like, I got a good answer for that one. 2 years,
No.
that sounds awful.
If you had to win as many games to save your job as possible the next 2 years, Kevin O'Connell.
Okay.
Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Sam Howell.
Trey Lance. And here's why.
You haven't seen him.
Here's why it's Trey Lance.
Has anyone seen him, like, in public? Has anyone?
Probably not, but that's a good
Cowboys
thing.
practice.
But that's a good thing, and here's why. So he lost his job, really, because he got hurt. Like, he had the job. He snapped his, leg, ankle. Very gruesome.
Yeah.
Very gruesome. Very bad. I'm worried Zach Wilson is ruined. Like New York, the Jets. I don't know he's coming back from this, you guys. Like, and I think he might still have talent, but I don't know that you can revive his career. I don't know that he's in the mentally going to ever again be in the right place. Mac Jones, I've just sort of soured on. I felt like the thing, yes, the Patriots became a dumpster fire, but he was pointing fingers. There's just a lot of back and forth I didn't like there. Is Mac Jones a winning personality? I question that. I'm out on Mac Jones. And Sam Howell might be fine. I don't know on that one, but I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to take a shot on being the guy that fixes Trey Lance. I'm going Trey Lance for 2 years.
So you're picking the mystery box option, basically.
Yeah, because I really don't like to. Sam Howell, I'm a little. There is some things to like there.
I like Sam Howell.
Oh man, Sam Howell was sacked on 10% of dropbacks.
By the way, it's a great question. I love this question.
It is. Sam Howell led the league in interceptions and sacks taken. That's not good.
And pick sixes. 4. He had 4 pick sixes last year.
Yeah.
I would take Sam Howell of these options. If you told me I had to pick one of these 4, I would take Sam Howell. Dude worked his butt off to become a starter. Washington's a dumpster fire. He is, in my opinion, the best of these 4. And then Mac Jones would be second for me.
I don't like Mac Jones anymore. I really.
Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. God, I'd just cover my eyes for the next 33 football.
How do you know with Trey Lance? You haven't given him a chance yet.
I've given him a chance. I've given him a chance with 2 coaches who don't want to ever have him near the starting roster. So no, I don't want him. No.
Well, he started before he snapped his leg.
He did start before he broke his ankle, but he's barely played. Period. Like he only played 1 year at NDSU.
That's why I want my chance with him. That's why I want my chance.
I think.
It's not like it's 4 good options.
Man, dude, Zach Wilson is so bad. He's so bad. And Sam Howell, I think people choose Sam Howell because he threw for almost 4,000 yards. He also led the league in attempts. He's not good. I'm going Mac Jones. I think the Patriots' offensive situation was such a disaster. Year 1, he showed some promise, and then like 2 more years under Bill Belichick and just the miserable Boston media and everything, I'd probably have to go Mac Jones. And then I'm going Trey Lance mystery box number 2.
I'm taking the mystery box. I'm going mystery box
Trey,
all day long. 1
read and run the ball. That's all I need from you. Just get out, run the ball for 1,000 yards.
Don't break your ankle again, and we'll all be happy.
So, let us know in the comments.
Hold your water.
What you think? Okay, last thing for you here on the hard count. This is for Judd specifically. Now, you may notice that I've got some new artwork behind my head here on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
We've got the Kevin Garnett Slam magazine cover. Very exciting. But we have a panoramic. This is from week 17 of the 1994 NFL season. Monday Night Football. San Francisco 49ers, who went on to win the Super Bowl that year. The Vikings beat them. Now they pulled Steve Young at halftime because, they were already it was in the playoffs. Yeah. But the Vikings beat the 49ers that year. The Vikings. Right? Yep. George Seifert was the. My question for you, Judd, is tell me as much as you know about the 1994 Minnesota Vikings. Tell me who was the leading running back for that team.
Terry Allen.
Random back in the week.
Terry Allen.
I was, it's a great year to pick because that was actually, as I recall, that was my first trip ever to Lambeau Field for the season opener.
Oh, wow.
Vikings, Warren Moon at quarterback against the Packers.
I'm so sick of this.
And in fact, it was a great day for me because on the out-of-town scoreboard that day, I remember the Indianapolis Colts putting up point after point after point. Let's just say Sports Dad, very young at the time, had drafted in his fantasy league a young man by the name of Marshall Faulk, who scored 3 touchdowns on opening day.
Let's get it.
1994. Chris Carter, Warren Moon.
Give me the top 5 most targeted receivers for the Vikings that year, or pass catchers. They're not all wide receivers, obviously.
All right, Chris Carter.
Yep.
Obviously. 94.
1,200 yards, 122 catches for season.
He was fantastic at the time. It was unbelievable. 1994. Was Hassan Jones still there?
Nope. This is after Hassan Jones.
Okay. Who's the tight end on that team?
Boy, sports dad.
I'm trying to blank on the receivers.
The 1994 Vikings are.
I'm drawing a blank on the receivers. It was funny because I was at that game. I was at the opener. I was at a bunch of
it's
games
like
that season.
I would say that the Vikings kind of had a big three. They kind of had a big three.
In 94. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's pre. Oh, wait, when was Jake Reed drafted?
I'll give you that one. Jake Reed.
Jake Reed
Went for 1,175 yards.
Okay, here's a crazy
catches.
one. Here's a crazy one. In 94 was the missile Quadri Ishmael on that team?
Yes, he was. That's the big three. Almost
Okay,
700 yards, 5 touchdowns.
It's good thing that I know my 94 Vikes, because I would not have considered the missile, not to be confused with a rocket, his brother, to be part of a big three.
He was a good deep threat.
Terry Allen led the team in rushing. Warren Moon was definitely the quarterback. Who the hell was the tight end on that team?
Andrew Jordan, 35 catches for 336. And then Adrian Cooper also had 32 catches.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have gotten him. I would have gotten Jordan.
And the third down pass catching specialist was Amp Lee with 45 catches for the 1994 Vikings.
Was that a Scotty Graham season?
Scotty Graham was 93, I believe.
Came from the pharmacy.
1993.
Was working in a pharmacy in Columbus.
Yeah, Terry Allen was the bell cow. Oh, no, you're right. No, Scotty Graham played this year.
Scotty Graham, came back, yeah.
He had 64 attempts for 207 yards.
Don't get in my face about this team.
And then Warren Moon threw for 4,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Kind of a weird year for Warren Moon.
You know what, though, back then? The picks didn't bother us.
No one cared about picks.
They really didn't.
The only other quarterback to start a game for the Vikings was Sean Salisbury that year. And Brad Johnson was the third string quarterback.
Brad Johnson, a 12th round draft pick in like 92.
Before they
around that doesn't even
exist. And then defensively, John Randall, 13.5 sacks. Henry Thomas, 7 sacks for the Vikings that year.
Oh, Hank was a hell of a player. Johnny was great, so he overshadowed him. But Hank Thomas, you remember that? He was a great player.
Big time. He was one of my favorite Tecmo Super Bowl interior defensive linemen. You could just get around the center and...
He's good. He's really good. Back when the Vikings were good interior, which they were for years until recently.
There's Judd Zulgad on the 1994, the sports dad on the 1994 Vikings.
Marshall Faulk going crazy for the Colts. Great day. I think I won running away in week 1 of the... Back when you used to have to take out the pencil on Monday, get the paper with the box scores, and actually go through and tally your score.
Yeah, and then you're at the mercy of somebody knowing how to do math the right way too. But you're not going to have a second person go through and check all the math. So you just trust that Judd can do it the right way, I guess.
No, I think the commissioner then. I think the commissioner. We had a guy who was crazy. He would go through everyone's scores. Completely nuts. It was great.
He could have made stuff up and taken all you guys. All right, that's a wrap. Purple Daily here. 3 episodes in your feed as we inch our way closer to NFL chaos and a resolution on Cousins Watch 2024. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.